Guys, just turning in open Friday, 28th of August. Got this gap down this morning and then big pre-market rally. I've just closed out some longs there, just based on, you'll find if you dig into it, when you get these gap downs following an XJO kind of collapse the prior day, you'll find that, let's gap down and kind of focus it a little bit more if you want, just going overnight futures positive, then gap down. And so see this pre-market distribution here, average is around 15 points, very, very limited downside there. So always a really nice, well, not always, but a lot of the time a really nice trade, just setting your limit orders. Also snatched a little bit more on that dump in the first kind of 10 seconds there. So let's see where the open takes us today. Looking at a couple of things, mainly I'm just going to alert here around, obviously had that collapse yesterday. S&P actually finished positive and we kind of followed it high overnight. So just putting that kind of general setup in here. The thing that I'm just keeping an eye on is if you look at these moves to lows for all of the top rallies, pretty much just moves from open there, okay? Lots of single digits, kind of the same as well for falls. So, you know, this is one of those occasions where potentially you could pull in your stop entries a little bit more, because historically, you know, once it breaches up that double digits, it's not really going to come back substantially. Got this minimum 50-point range here. I think from memory, I was kind of just looking at maybe Fridays where we've had a kind of collapse the previous day, decent ranges there. Also had that futures, so we can kind of overlay that as well. So you can see that when we've historically had those kind of moves into a Friday, so XJO and futures falls, significant falls on a Thursday, the range has been quite large, so minimum 57 points. So that's kind of what I'll be basing my, take profits, etc. around. I'll try not to be, taking profits too early, wait for that range to play out today. Other thing just looking here is, we really do need to be aware of break of, say first half an hour, definitely. This is where potentially you could, set a reminder or something in settings, depending on the day, just to, remind you at 10:30 or 10:45, do not trade against this break of range, because that's really the kind of line in the sand. Looking at what's happened previously, okay, we've been entered in there. Just going to set additional buys now, sell stop. So I guess from my point of view, the longer that we kind of manage to hold here, ideally get another couple of entries here, the better this trade setup is, because the way that I'm looking at it is, definitely this break of, or definitely in terms of longs, any break of, 10:15 or 10:30 lows really kills off the probability that I'm going to be right and make a lot of money higher today. So I guess the longer that we can hold here, my risk is only whatever, 15 points lower, potentially 30, 40 points higher with a bit of luck. That's kind of what I'd be looking for. So as we're coming into 10:15 here, I've kind of persisted with adding to my longs. I'm just going to pull all my stop losses up to under the lows now. The way I'm thinking about that is, again, I'm basically just reverse engineering. Okay, we had the futures fall yesterday, just pick a number, but I've gone 80 and 80, fallen more than 80 points, XJO and futures, and kind of just reverse engineering. Okay, well, if today's going to be a 30 points or more rally, what does that look like? You can see that vast majority will bottom it in the first 15 minutes. Looks like I'll be stopped out just about now. So once it breaks this, that kind of possibility that we're going to finish materially higher kind of reduces pretty significantly. So that's my idea behind pulling those stops up. I just want to get out, with as little damage as possible, really. Potentially you could look to the short side if that breaks. I'd probably want to maybe wait to see that 1030 kind of lows break again if you wanted to chase a short. You can see that, yeah, by 1045, where all the highs are for there. So any break of lows post that, you can definitely look at. But for now, that's kind of me done for the day. I'm going to go back to sleep. But yeah, hopefully we get a kick higher from here, but enjoy the weekend.